Miami has two of my favorite free agent signings of the offseason with James Daniels and Fetty Melifonwu. But what do they do in the draft to round this team out and make them a playoff team again in 2025? I'm Jeremy Green of ESPN Radio Asheville and NFLDraft.net, and this is a 4-round mock draft for the Miami Dolphins.
Ain't no truth on the radio station. Somebody owes me an explanation. Well, I get knocked down, I get back up.
The Sportsocracy.
And I'm unapologetic.
If all things were equal for Miami, Armin Mimbu would be here, or a slew of other players. Will Campbell's drop dead spot is to the Miami Dolphins. I still feel like they need at least one more piece on that offensive line. Patrick Paul notwithstanding, I do think there's a great chance that Teron Armstead's not back and that Patrick Paul's going to be playing on the left side. If you have him and Liam Eichenberg playing at guard, I think you're going to have a problem on the left side. So I look to the board and what is there, and I didn't really have to think about this all that long. I know there is some concern about this kid. I don't really understand it because I think he is still one of the best prospects in this class. I've said I think he has Jonathan Ogden level upside. That's how good I actually think Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas can be. I think he fits perfectly what Miami does. He has a very high zone grade from Texas. He did have some shorter arms at the combine, which makes some teams think he's going to have to play guard. I don't agree with that. There are a handful of guys in the NFL that have shorter arms than him that have played tackle. I think if your feet are as good as his are, it doesn't really matter. And I don't know where this denigration of him has come from. This was a top 5 guaranteed pick coming into the process. And then just all of a sudden, well, his arms are a little too short. Just watch the damn tape. Watch what happened to Texas when he wasn't on the field. The line, which was the best in all of college football, regressed aggressively without him on the field. Didn't happen much. Hadn't happened much over the course of the last 3 years. He was a constant. He comes in really seasoned. I think this would be an A-plus pick for Miami, and that's coming from a Jets fan. I would absolutely love this if I was a Dolphin fan because he's so flexible. If Teron Armstead comes back, awesome. I can slide him into guard. If Armstead doesn't come back, I could still play him at guard, but he's an option on the right side if things continue to not go awesome. I've never in my life seen a player that is defended more by their fan base than Austin Jackson. I don't know why you keep defending him the way that you do. He's not good, and he hasn't been good. So potentially you could kick him into guard, which has been discussed. It was discussed when he was drafted. I don't think he's a very good tackle. So Kelvin Banks, I know he can play somewhere on that line, and to me, that is an absolute A-plus pick for Miami. Right here at 14 is considerably better than taking Tyler Booker. All right, next pick is at 48. I still have a lot of needs that I want to address. Oh, that's tough for me to not do. It's tough for me to not take a wide receiver here. I know it's not the biggest need for them, but it is intriguing as I'm sitting here looking at Alec Ayumanor, who should not be on this board. I'm going to bypass that just in the effort of being honest that I don't think he will be here. So I go and look at the team needs that I have for Miami. I would still like to have a safety. There's not really one on the board that I feel strong about taking right here. I want to look at corner. Cam Smith was a second-round pick. He hasn't been particularly good, and he also hasn't been on the field. Oh, I think this is more realistic than a lot of other people do, and it's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go Azareye'h Thomas, cornerback out of Florida State. One of the problems that teams are going to find in this class is that we have a handful of guys that play man. We have a lot of guys that can play really well in zone, but they're absolute liabilities in zone coverage. Azareye'h Thomas does not have that problem. I do not see him as highly as a lot of other people do. But if you put him in this situation with Miami where he can be the number 2 corner, you can bring him along with the intention that 2 to 3 years from now he's your number 1. I think this is a perfect fit. I am a lifelong Florida State fan. I've watched every snap this kid's ever played. He was not thrown at much last year because I didn't need to. Only 33 targets thrown his way in the entire year of 2024. He only allowed 17 receptions. I don't love him as a tackler. That's one of my biggest hangups on him is that I think he tries to play really physical, but he's not necessarily that guy. And I could see him not necessarily being a great run defender at the next level. But with all of the pieces that I have in Miami and this scheme, I'm okay with that. So here in the second round, I'll go with Azareye'h Thomas, cornerback out of Florida State. So through 2 picks, I have addressed 2 of my biggest needs, corner and, for me, guard. I would like to have an interior presence. Andrew Makuba is really tough for me to not take, and I'm not going to lie, it's really tough for me to not take Charles Grant, even though I've already taken an offensive lineman, because I'm so high on him, and I think he can just do so damn much. Harold Fannin is intriguing too. I'm going to add a pick. Look, as I stated, I'm a Jets fan, and I'll tell you, if you're expecting Ashton Davis to be your starting free safety, I think that's a fool's errand. So right here at number 98, I'm going to go Andrew Makuba, safety out of Texas. If this kid was 2 inches taller and 10 to 15 pounds heavier, we'd be talking about him in the first round. He started at Clemson. I covered him on site at Clemson. He went to Texas, had an unbelievable year with Jahdae Barron. Just absolutely, virtually impossible to throw on that side of the field. He is a smaller guy. And you do have to understand that. The missed tackle rate was 14.4%. That sounds really high. It's not, that's about average for a safety. Maybe a tick high, but not by much. I just think this is a kid that can come in and play right away. And it allows you to do with Ashton Davis what he does best, which is roam around. He's very athletic. He's not a great cover guy. I was a little dumbfounded at the deal that he got and the fact that he feels like about the only option that they have at free safety. I think having Makuba with Fedi Melifonwu and the ability to move around Ashton Davis, now you can play 3 safety sets. It allows you to be more multiple. You can play Ashton Davis a little bit in the slot, which he did some with the Jets with some success. I like this fit. And I find myself giving Andrew Makuba to a lot of teams in the 3rd round, but I really like the fit with Miami, so that's where I'm going to go right here. Have 2 picks left, 116 and 135. I would like to take an interior lineman here, and there just so happens that one fell right in my lap. It's a big damn kid. Jamari Caldwell. He's going to play nose tackle in the NFL. That's the positive. The negative is that I'm not sure he does anything. He's not an A at anything right now. He's a B at a lot of things. He's really good against the run. I've seen some higher level pass rush stuff. The only thing that makes me nervous with him is, was that because of Harmon? Was that because of Uiagalelei? Was that because of all of the pieces that they had at Oregon? Or because he can, as time goes on, turn into a more natural pass rusher? The kid's not a crazy older prospect. I think there's still a lot of room to grow there, and that's a nice growth piece, which is what I'm trying to find in the 4th round. I want to find a guy that not necessarily this year, but a year or 2 down the line can be a starter for me, and I think you get that here with Jamari Caldwell. And I go back to my team needs with Miami. I've addressed safety. I've addressed corner. I've gone guard. I've gone nose tackle. Now I'm looking at almost a luxury pick here. I could go another offensive lineman. I could go a wide receiver. It's just a question of what falls in my lap here. So let's look at the board. Savion Jones is intriguing, but you just have so many pass rushers in Miami. Let's look at wide receiver. Is there anybody? Oh. There are 2 here. I'm going to go the one that I think Miami would actually take. Look, Miami loves just unabashed, damn it all speed. So right here at 135, I'm going to take a shot. This is a kid that can play on the outside, and he is really, really damn fast. Dante Thornton Jr., wide receiver out of Tennessee. I saw this kid a lot covering Tennessee on site as I do. The games that were good were really, really good. He obliterated Vanderbilt. He had a good game against Oklahoma. But then he would have times where he just kind of disappeared. I actually think that is more of a problem with Tennessee's offense and more of a problem of Nico Iamaleava than it is Dante Thornton. This kid has a big body build. PFF lists him at 6'5". He came in at just a tick over 6'4" at the combine, but he is a thick-built kid, and he's insanely fast. This is a bit of a project player because, as you can see right here on the screen, pass snaps. He hasn't played a lot. He has not played a ton. When he has played, he's been really, really good. 16.5-yard average depth of target is crazy to me. And it wasn't that they manufactured touches. He can actually run a pretty legitimate route tree, and I think he would be a great value in round 4. When guys run as fast as he did at the combine, they tend to get grossly overdrafted. I don't think 135 is a gross overdraft for him because he can play on the outside. He's not slot specific. There's a lot to like there. I think that's an A-plus hammer draft for the Miami Dolphins. Let's see what PFF thinks. And, of course, it's a B-minus. Because if you do anything even vaguely realistic, their grade is going to be a B or lower. Kelvin Banks, they gave a C. That, to me, is insane. I think he's a perfect fit for the Dolphins. Azareye'h Thomas was a B+. Not surprised by that. Makuba was a B-minus. I don't think I've ever seen Makuba. I think I could take Makuba at 215, and he would be a B+. Jamari Caldwell's an A-. They gave an F to Dante Thornton because they have more receivers that are rated ahead of him. I don't think they necessarily fit what I would be looking for out of Miami. That would give me a bigger bodied receiver. I already have Waddle. I already have Tyreek Hill. I already have Nick Westbrook-Akine. That would give me the bigger receiver. So they gave it a B-. What would you give it, Dolphin fans? Do you love these picks? Do you hate them? Is there a player you want to talk about with the Dolphins, or do you think you can just do a better job than me? Throw all those things in the comments. We got a ton of comments on the first set of these videos. I'm getting to those as quick as I can, but I answer them all. I am at ESPN Draft Nerd. That's where you can find me on Twitter. From the Sportsocracy, ESPN Radio Asheville. You can find us live on this channel with the simulcast of our ESPN Radio show, noon Eastern time every single day. If you like this video, like this video. It makes such a big difference to the algorithm. And subscribe to the channel so you can see all of our draft content going forward. At the end of next week, so mainly next weekend and the week following, I will be doing A-plus 7-round mock drafts. That is in a vacuum. What is the best that could possibly happen to this team? And I'll go through that pick by pick for the Miami Dolphins and all 31 other teams. I'm Jeremy Green of ESPN Radio Asheville and NFLDraft.net, and this has been a 4-round mock draft for the Miami Dolphins.
Ain't no truth on the radio station. Somebody owes me an explanation. Well, I get knocked down, I get back up.
The Sportsocracy